Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to an all-new reaction and review. Tonight, guys, I'm taking a look at a sci-fi film from 2011. That movie is Real Steel. Now, I'm going to tell you guys, back in 2011, I saw quite a few television ads for this movie, and I believe I saw a couple of the theatrical trailers for it. And all of those looked really good, and since then, I have been incredibly excited to finally give this thing a viewing. Now, I do understand that trailers are normally not the best thing to go by because for all I know, those trailers and those TV ads could have shown me every single interesting and decent part of this movie, and what I could be diving into here is about 2 hours of garbage. However, this thing could also live up to those trailers and be incredibly awesome. I have no idea. And the only way I'm going to find out is if I shut up and I push play, and I'm going to do that right now. So, without further ado, it's time to kick back, relax, and check out Real Steel. Okay, you know, guys, this actually is kind of bothering me. So, let me see if I understand this. We have a live bull fighting against a robot, and nobody else thinks that this is fucked up at all. No, this is incredibly fucked up. In fact, I honestly am fucking surprised that there are people cheering on this sort of thing. It just seems wrong, guys, on a whole shit ton of levels. You know what I mean? Okay, guys, this is probably an incredibly stupid question, but I'm gonna ask it anyway. What accent is Hugh Jackman shooting for in this film? Because it seems to bounce all over the fucking accent spectrum. Everything from, let's see here, Aussie's in there. I have heard some Boston, some Fargo's slipped in there a little bit. It's like, what accent is he really trying to nail down? Moreover, why the hell can't he just pick an accent and stick with it? Wait a minute, wait. Are these two actually arguing over who owns this fucking robot? Now, if memory serves, they had to break into the scrapyard that they found it in, so that means that it's technically stolen. Neither of them own the bot or the parts that are going in it, because they also were stealing parts, too, when they were in that scrapyard. I totally understand, guys, that it is a minor point, but god damn it, it is still a point. Okay, guys, you know what? Robot or not, that last punch really looked like it fucking hurt, dude. Did they really just say that Adam hails from parts unknown? Okay, guys, as a longtime wrestling fan, I always love it whenever I hear somebody being billed from fucking parts unknown. However, though, boxing is boxing, whether it be robot boxing or human boxing, I always thought was a little bit more professional than that. I kind of thought that you'd actually have to give a real hometown and not just parts unknown. Still, though, it is sort of cool. Okay, guys. Alright, I totally understand that this thing is a sports film and that there's bound to be mountains of product placement. But this, honestly, guys, is really getting sad. Alright, so the final fight is in New York City. Instead of it being at famed Madison Square Garden, it's at the Bing Arena. The Bing... No, it seriously, guys, it couldn't even be decent fucking product, placement. It really had to be something as stupid and as shitty as Bing. I am sorry, guys. I just sort of wanted to comment on the product placement. It's getting really fucking sad. Wait a minute here. Are you telling me that you actually can use a rope-a-dope strategy against a robot? I'm sorry, guys, that just seems to make almost no fucking sense to me, and yet, that's exactly what I'm fucking seeing. Wow. Well, guys, that was Real Steel. Why don't we shut this off and let's talk about the movie? Wow. All right. Before I start talking about, well, actually, yeah, why don't I just kick it off by talking about the negatives? Because there were very few negatives here that I could genuinely find that are things that could be seen as deal breakers for some of you. The first one, in fact, I've actually mentioned both, negatives over the course of watching this thing. First one is throughout the first like half hour of the film, we have Hugh Jackman, great actor, Hugh, Jackman. It was just sort of a pity that it took him. Again, it took him the first half hour of the film to finally figure out what fucking accent he wanted to use, because you would hear him sometimes like slip into Australian, Boston, Brooklyn. I swear to God, guys, there actually was a moment there where he actually sounded almost like he fucking like came off the set of Fargo. Let's see, Jersey. It's just tons of different accents, and they all kind of got all like blended in there, and he would basically like float from one accent to the other across the course of the first half hour. And then after that, it kind of sort of settled into this cross between Boston, Jersey, and Brooklyn. It kind of stuck with that, and it totally worked. It's just that it sounds so fucked up and weird during the first half hour, which I really cannot explain it outside of perhaps honestly they just. I mean, where about the only thing I can come up with is just maybe he didn't have the accent down for those scenes yet, and then he finally committed later on in filming. I don't know, but it was something that kind of sort of threw me off a little bit. Now the other one is kind of sort of a minor issue, and it is something which is bound to happen, especially with sports films, and that is the product placement. Good fucking God, there is a ton of product placement in this film. A lot of it, guys, is to a fault, and allow me to explain. Alright, I had no problem with every single person's like futuristic tablet thing being a fucking HP tablet. I had no problem with that. I have no problem with the kid drinking fucking exclusively Dr. Pepper and nothing else, okay? I have no problem with every fight being broadcast only on ESPN. Alright, I have no problem with those, because that is, a few. But then, when we get to the final fight, which is set in the Bing Arena, because apparently Microsoft just didn't want to just call it like the Microsoft Arena or the Windows Arena. No. Let's just fucking name it after their like fifth-rate fucking search engine. And then when you go inside of the Bing fucking Arena, all of a sudden there are just ads all over the place for everything from Sprint. I believe Cadillac was in there, Xbox was in there, which kind of makes sense since, well, it is the Bing Arena. You might as well throw in another fucking Microsoft product in there. Coca-Cola had it in there, and it's like there's just so much product placement. And mind you guys, like, it starts off okay, and it starts off like one here, one there. It's no big deal, and then you get to the final act, and then you get to the main event, and it's just almost nothing but ads. And the ads and every single ad which shows up in the wide angle shots are incredibly distracting, and are going to fucking pull you out of the fight, because there actually seems to be sharper focus on those goddamn ads that are placed all over the inside of the fucking stadium than there is on the ring and on the action going on in the ring. It was really messed up. Now, mind you, those guys are the only two positives I can think of, are the retarded amounts of product placement and Hugh Jackman's sketchy accent for the first half hour. That's it. Everything else here, guys, I'm going to tell you is all solid positive. All right, so why don't we start with the writing? If you guys have watched any fucking boxing, movie, especially Rocky, then you kind of sort of know what is all going on here. I mean, it really isn't anything ultimately special in terms of writing for sports films. The only thing that they really did was they basically added in robots, and they also added in a father-son bonding thing, and like custody, what have you, at the very start of it. And mind you, that honestly, guys, is plenty to make this film feel genuinely different. So we do have that. So honestly, if you guys have seen things like Rocky or Warrior or Play It to the Bone, then you kind of sort of know what is coming before anything happens here, because this thing is playing it incredibly safe when it comes to combat fucking sports films. Okay, and I have to say combat sports because, well, Warrior was about mixed martial arts and not boxing, but it still kind of falls in the same category. By the way, if you guys have not seen Warrior, that movie is fucking amazing, and I really think you ought to go and check it out. But we aren't talking about Warrior. We should be focusing on Real Steel. So even though it was playing it safe in terms of story, our characters here are written very, very well. Our characters are incredibly deep. The action, and everything here in terms of like action, pacing, all of that, it's all written to perfection. Or correction, it is, or rather, it is written as close to perfection as is humanly possible. It is awesome writing from top to bottom. I seriously, guys, am just trying to think if there was any moment at all that just seemed a little off. I still happen to find it. I still find it a little bit, fucked up at the very start of the film that fucking anybody would book a fight between a robot and a bull, because that actually kind of seems like it could lead potentially to a really horrific case of animal fucking cruelty, but that is just me. Writing here is really solid. Acting, all over, minus again the first half hour and Jackman being unable to commit to a fucking accent. Beyond that, the acting is great. The acting is solid from everybody else, and also when Jackman finally settles on a fucking accent, he basically just sort of like locked it in, and it was solid from that point on. The acting here is great, and mind you, guys, I really have to make this point clear. As many of you know, I am not a fan of kids. I cannot stand children in movies. I'm also not really a big fan of children in real life, but let's just stick to films right now. And normally, when a movie has a kid as one of the stars, to me that almost always signals the fucking kiss of death. But this kid, my God, this kid can actually act. Which really stunned me, because I honestly thought that the kid was irritating even when I saw the trailers. And he starts off incredibly irritating, and thankfully though he actually is written with depth, and he actually sort of grows a little bit. So, we do have that, and the actor turns in a stellar showing. Every member of the cast turns in a stellar showing, and I would say that the acting is perfect, but again, we have that first half hour and Jackman being unable to figure out which fucking accent he wishes to use. I don't care how fucking minor that is, it still kind of bugged me, okay? Special effects. Guys, this thing is a very CG heavy film, because it is essentially about 8-foot tall robots boxing. So you have to have the robots, you oftentimes have to have the ring, you have to have all of that done in CG, and my God, all of it looks fucking amazing. In fact, I'm actually trying to think. There is one small bit of questionable CG, and that is when they take Adam to the zoo for his first fight, and the bot that he's fighting against catches fucking fire. The very first bit of flame you see looks terrible. It looks really poorly done. However, though, that seriously, guys, is it, and that there was maybe like a 2-second shot of fire at best. And then, well, I mean, when the bot is fully fucking burning, then it actually looks better. It's just when it starts burning, it looked kind of cheap. Beyond that, though, guys, CG in here is just awesome from top to bottom. The soundtrack is made up almost entirely of rap songs. And honestly, guys, the soundtrack is okay. It seriously, guys, is not fucking something I'm going to dash out and download. But I mean, it actually had a couple of songs that were really solid. So, I seriously am not going to fault. I really am not going to fault them there. I mean, it fucking works. So yeah, guys, soundtrack here is really good. The score here is really good. Lighting and camera work are both awesome, guys. I am just going to tell you right now. When all is said and done, I can highly recommend this thing. This is probably one of the best sports movies I have seen in probably the last 10 years. The only film which beats it out, and just barely beats it out, would have to be Warrior. And again, if you have not seen Warrior, please go out there and check it out. And also go and check out this thing. Both of them are fucking awesome. Guys, I loved Real Steel. And the very fact that I bought this thing used for $7, that is probably the best $7 I have spent in a long fucking time. This movie, I'm going to tell you guys, I honestly was going into this thing and I was hoping for it to be good, and this thing outdid any and all expectations I could have possibly set. This movie is fantastic from start to finish, and if you have not seen it yet, you owe it to yourself to attempt to find a copy somewhere. I'm not totally sure if Real Steel is on Netflix or Hulu or any other place, but please, guys, go over there and look, and if you happen to see a copy, if you happen to see it there, watch it. It is absolutely amazing. This movie was awesome. Now, wow, I may have to give this thing a second watch, like right now. So, or maybe not. I'm not totally sure right now. But anyway, guys, with that, we come to the close of another reaction and review. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, take care, and I will see you all in the near future. Peace.